Howdy, everyone. My name's Nicholas, and welcome to the Headliner PodPod. We're a show about podcasts featuring podcasts by podcasters that's hosted by people who help podcasters with their podcasting. On each episode, a few of us folks over at Headliner sit down to play a game that centers around listening to randomly selected clips from over 500 show submissions we've gotten from podcasters. Why? Well, in order to find what we call Pod Zero. Here are the rules. Each lucky contestant will hear a 60-second podcast clip. They'll then need to pick the correct podcast title from a lineup of 3 choices before being shown the artwork for that show. Before we get this show on the road, though, let's say hi to each of our contestants for today. Starting with Prateek.
Hey, everyone.
Next, we have Kristy.
In honor of Jesse not being here, wahoo!
And we have Oliver.
Just happy to be here, everybody. Let's get guessing.
We also have Max, who's not here at the moment. I'm really hoping he makes like a triumphant third act reveal, though, sort of like Bill Murray at the end of Space Jam, but fingers crossed that actually happens. Anyway, we also have Elissa, who's just so done with me already.
I wouldn't say that, but, you know.
You wouldn't, but I would.
Okay, well, one of us will admit it. Anyways, today I have, it's not so much of an ad read, but more of a product update. But anyways, our manual audiogram flow just got a little bit better. While making a full episode for YouTube, you can now automatically call in Eddie to transcribe and create a promo pack for your podcast while we process your audiogram. So what this means is that you'll have everything you'll need to create a fully optimized podcast video that is ready for upload in just a few clicks and at no additional cost to you.
Okay, awesome. That sounds so convenient and helpful and like multitasking, which we love in a world where there's too much to do and not enough time to do it. So awesome. That being said, let's just dive right into things. Prateek, would you like to be our first contestant?
I'm ready.
Okay, great.
Alrighty. Eyes are closed. This is a good start here.
I just want to say thank you for your time today and helping me kind of work out sort of changes to my format. I really appreciate this because I know sometimes it can be a case of oh my god, it's changing the format. Is this even going to work? And it's no. I think I'm here for it. Obviously, there's lots of changes to the format happening over these next few weeks and whatnot. But one thing that I do not want to change, that I absolutely love ending every single interview with, is my questionnaire. So these questions always close us out, and they come from the Frost questionnaire, which were later adapted by Bernard Pivot, later by the late great James Lipton, who is my just inspiration alongside Terry Goss and Michael Parkinson. And now I present my, oh my God, there's something behind you, adaptation. You
got me. Look at you.
I got you. Yeah, that's my best one. Yeah. Question 1.
Did anyone else think something was actually behind him? Because,
Yeah, I felt my eyes dilate.
Yeah, I thought like something really bad was about to happen. Like we just hear screaming and it cuts out like a log entry in a video game.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I didn't pre-screen any of these, so I was just as shocked as you all.
That was actually the intro to the episode, and the next like 30 minutes of it is just whatever happened after someone snuck up on him.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think I have no idea what this clip/podcast is about. So it's basically going in blind. So let's do choices.
These titles have nothing to do with what we just heard. I'm saying as much, if anything, they're the antithesis of what we just heard.
Exactly what I'm expecting.
Okay, so here are your options. Number 1, Tom meets interesting people.
I hope it's that, man. That's so good. Right before he gets murdered.
It's only downhill from there, by the way. So number 2 is perfect happiness, greatest fear, and deplorable traits. And number 3 is Timmy chats about ... as in there are 3. I could give you the episode title if you absolutely need it.
No, let's try with that. So I'll go through my reasoning there. So the first one was like, I think, what was it?
Tom meets interesting people.
And third one's like Timmy something. So
Timmy chats about
I almost want to, yeah, I almost want to remove the second one just because the names are not in there. There's no name in there. So I feel like it's got to be the first or the third one. So from there, I think I'll go with the first one. Tom talks with interesting people.
Tom meets interesting people. You're locking that in?
Yes.
Okay. You're correct.
Yes.
It is actually Tom meets interesting people. We have some beautiful minimal art over there, which looks like it may have been made on Headliner, just based off the font. And yeah, it's actually very accurate. Tom does seem to know some interesting people. I'm assuming Tom is our host. And here's a bit about it. So the episode we just heard this clip from was the director who will be the first to die in a horror movie, Chris Bell, TMIP, which I'm assuming is Tom Meets Interesting People, interview 32. So yeah, that's a heck of a title for what we just heard. And here's our show description. Tom Meets Interesting People is the podcast where I'll interview anyone from nuclear engineers to voice actors. We'll discuss the guests' work, their processes, and what they're passionate about and what makes them get up in the morning. Each episode will end with my adaptation of the Proust questionnaire that was popularized by Bernard Pivot and the late, great James Lipton, parentheses, my hero, which adds up because he actually name-checked James Lipton at some point in that. Yeah, so very interesting. Very curious about what his adaptation of the Proust questionnaire is, as well as if it's Proust or Proust. I've heard it both ways. I'm sticking with Proust.
It is Proust.
Because it's French. Yeah. I assumed the OU. Yeah. And I don't know. I think that was a really interesting clip. I'm totally not stalling because Max is connecting to the call right now, and I want to throw him under the bus with his 2 cents on this artwork.
Nice.
Hi, Max. Welcome to Under the Bus.
Hey, could call y'all. Sorry for the late check-in.
That's totally fine. So yeah, we've already gone through our first clip, Max. And seeing as you just joined, actually, I'll throw you under the bus in a different way. You want to go next?
Let's do it.
Cool.
Love the bus.
That's the
Love being under the bus.
Nice. All right, so let's have you cover your eyes and get this second clip rolling.
Let's do it.
And I think that's why sharing Black women stories that are in motorsports, or they were in motorsports, may they rest in peace. This sheds a light that there were women, you know, in the Black community that did do this, and they did it for a living. And a lot of them made like amazing achievements and accomplished so much in these, in whatever racing organization they were in. And that's something to be celebrated. And that's why I wanted to share Peggy Llewellyn's story today.
Okay, guys, so I hope you enjoyed that episode, whether it was your first time listening to it or if it was a replay for you as well.
Okay. There was our clip. That was a great endpoint for it. Wow. Sorry, I wasn't expecting that. I was caught completely off guard by it. Anyway, here are your options for today, Max. Number 1, Race Wife Unfiltered. Number 2, Race Girl Energy. And number 3, Live Fast with Mia.
Race wife sounds like the significant other of a racer, you know, like race, like a race husband or a race wife. So I feel like this is about the actual racers. So that one feels wrong, but maybe that's like a term that some people use. I don't know. And then race girl felt more likely. But then at the same time, I'm like, you always want to go for the one with the name in it. But what was the middle one again? Race Girl Energy?
Race Girl Energy.
And the last one was something with racing with Mia or something.
Live Fast with Mia.
Live Fast with Mia. I'm gonna go with Race Girl Energy because I don't know. It sounds exciting. And
it just sounds like the one to you.
Podcast.
Sure. Unfortunately, Max, so sorry to have caught you under the bus. It is Race Wife Unfiltered.
Wow. There you go.
Yeah.
Race Wife. Huh. So talking about race wife is a term for the actual racers, I guess. I guess we'll find out in the episode.
Yeah, you know, maybe it's sort of like a married to the game situation, like racing. She's married to racing.
That makes sense.
You know, I'm not really sure. The whole time this clip was rolling, I'm going to be 100 with you guys. I was just like trying to remember the name of the movie Days of Thunder, the Tom Cruise movie. So that's on me. Here's our description. Oh, what's that?
I'm not familiar with that movie.
Yeah, all you need to know is it's Top Gun, but with cars instead of planes, literally. So here we are with our description for this episode. Racewife Unfiltered is hosted by your fave bougie racewife, Rachel Thornhill. Every week, she shares stories of her life as a racewife and other women in motorsports, giving them a platform so their voices can be heard. So,
I mean, I'm just curious about how common the term is, because I'm like, is that implying that all racers are married, or is it like, I guess married to the game is another way to think of it. So now I got to look into this. But
I think it's a little of column A and a little of column B. Like if you're a motocross or a motorsports person, you're married to the game. You're a race wife. But if you're just married to a racer, you're still a race wife. I don't know.
Well, then we need the follow-up podcast about all the race wives' significant others that have to deal with them being married to the race,
sure,
and taking second place to the race in your relationship.
It's just a never-ending daisy chain of podcasts about the spouses of racers, you're saying?
It doesn't have to be a daisy chain. It just can be another podcast. You don't have to go crazy with it. Just a follow-up podcast. You need two sides of the story.
Sure, that makes sense.
Maybe three.
A good react channel where they react to the podcast. Whatever.
Sure.
Anyway, the clip we just heard was from the episode number 10 most listened to episode of 2023, Peggy Llewellyn. I'm assuming that's how you pronounce that. Elissa, feel free to shame me.
I'm pretty sure they said it on the clip. It sounded correct to me.
Okay. Well, there you have it. Pretty interesting stuff. And we have a still of, I'm assuming, the guest of the episode for our artwork here, which is super cool. Gotta take advantage of that when you have that stuff, you know? Anyway, jumping on over to our next contestant. Let's go with Oliver. He looks ready. He's wearing sunglasses.
My eyes are closed, but the sunglasses are on. You guys trust me?
Sure.
Yes.
Alyssa doesn't trust me. Fine.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I don't want to be the person to throw Alyssa under the bus because I've already gotten my share today of doing that. But
I don't want an asterisk.
Why come for me? Why?
I didn't. I said I don't want to be that person.
Okay, you're okay.
I think a red Ferrari is a bit cliche, maybe, but
it's quite bold, isn't it? If you've saved up kind of the amount to buy one, there must be such a sense that you kind of get to filling out the sheet and you're like, should I just go for red, play it safe? Had your father had Ferraris before, or was that kind of a first foray into?
I think that's the only Ferrari I've had. But the other car, which definitely I have a huge amount of memories and affinity, is old Range Rovers, like the classic style Range Rovers.
Okay.
And as a kid, like doing a lot of journeys with my family, they had the armrests in the back seats.
Yeah.
And my father had an LSC Range Rover, I remember, in the early 90s. And in the back, you not just had the armrests in the middle, you had an armrest on the left, and there's like a 5-year-old. It was like being on a throne. You had your arms right down. And ever since then, I've had quite a few different classic Range Rovers. And I think, again, it's these early memories, which I think really, maybe subconsciously go into your mind.
Okay. There was our clip.
Wow. And
here are our titles for today. Number 1, My Dad's Car Podcast. Number 2, Tinkerin' with Daddy-O. Number 3, F is for Family and Fast Cars.
Oh boy. Blatant references to Fast and the Furious. Which I think those were genuine car enthusiasts that probably were into cars before Fast and the Furious came out. So let's knock out the third one. And now the first two had daddy in the titles. Okay, so what was the first one? The Daddy Issues podcast, Carcast?
My dad's car podcast.
My dad's car podcast. Okay, and what's the next one?
Tinkering with Daddy-O.
Ooh. Here's the thing. If I know something about people from the UK, I know that they love the 1950s American music scene. They love it. So I'm going to go ahead and say that even though all signs in those clips pointed to number one being the correct answer, I'm going to go ahead and choose number two for the win. How do we do, Nicholas?
Not great, boss.
Uh-oh.
It was my dad's car podcast.
All signs pointed to the right one.
Who would have thought? I'm so glad you picked the second one because I might have picked it, but that's just because I love 50s lingo. Apparently I'm British. I don't know.
I don't even know if they do like that or not. I just hope that...
Who knows? I mean, we'll never find out unless somebody British that listens to this just is like, you guys are ridiculous. We don't have a thing for the 50s in America.
Yeah, I mean, I think the clip was basically them saying, "Oh, I remember being in my dad's car, and that's why I like Range Rovers." And the other guy was like, "Well, my daddy drove a Ferrari." And he was like, "Well, my daddy drove a Nissan." Awesome.
There you have it.
I like the artwork.
Yeah, it's cool. Cool artwork. Simple and clean. Kind of looks like a logo you'd have in the front of a car. Almost. I don't know. That's just me. Anyway, the clip we just listened to was from the episode Charles Clegg from Custodian, Bristol catching fire, Ferrari with a back seat, and Range Rovers, season 3, episode 6. And our show description is a discussion with invited guests about their personal relationships with automotive nostalgia. Despite the title, it doesn't even matter if the topic of discussion is their dad's car or not. It could be their mom's, their grand's, parents, guardians, or even neighbors. If it made an impression, we want to talk about it. So, there you go. I guess in its own way, Tinkering with Daddy-O is more accurate to the show. I don't know. That's just me because they said nostalgia. So Daddy-O feels apt.
I mean, I see the logo. I'm not convinced the Daddy-O isn't the actual name and this is all a ruse.
It's a scratch off. If you scratch your screen hard enough, it changes to Daddy-O.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there you have it. Interesting clip. I'm not a car guy, but if I were, I'd probably stick around for this show. Jumping on forward, I believe, Kristy, you're up next.
Woohoo.
So let's see what happens.
All right. Where's my...
Oh, no calendar this time?
Is that a dungeon chart?
Yeah, I got this from my Christmas present from my campaign.
Cool.
Anyways, here's your clip.
People usually are wondering why it took me 14 years to write the book. But really, the first 9 years was more so about doing research. And I took all these groups of students to go visit Warren. And we had Q&A sessions with them. So I was able to get all that primary research and put that into the book. All new
back in your book, yes.
And so, and I wrote like 5 articles while I was doing all of this. The first 9 years, I had no idea I was going to write a book on Warren Buffett.
And what prompted that? What made you click and go, I need to...
You really have to be kind of, I don't know what the right word is. Have you ever written a book before?
Yes, I actually taught college for 10 years. So.
Oh, all right.
I wanted to hear the rest of that thought.
Honestly, that was kind of there was a little tension in that room.
Yeah, I wanted to see what happened. Was someone behind another person? Like,
yeah,
what's the story?
Yeah, that was. I feel like if I was in the room, I'd be like, "Oh, this is getting a little awkward." They're flexing.
Just you cringing behind the audio mixer, like,
Ooh.
Oh God, here we go.
Oh God.
Yep, he's picking up a chair. Okay, so our titles for this show, Kristy, are number 1, The Grow Wealth Experience. Number 2, Mo Money, Mo Problems with Christopher Wallace. And number 3, Investing in Yourself.
Someone's screwing with me because I don't think the Mo Money, Mo Problems would be the name of that. But the problem is whoever wrote this added a name to it. And I'm like, Is that an interesting enough name to have just made up on the spot? Maybe it just has Chris Wallace in it and you brought it into that. The Grow Wealth Experience. I'm going to do that one.
Okay. The Grow Wealth Experience is correct.
Yes!
You got it.
Yes!
Amazing. I'm here for the enthusiasm about getting it right.
Yes. I've gotten so many wrong, Nick.
Yeah, I mean, that'll do. I was going to say you're giving off like you just got picked to be on the Price is Right energy.
Yeah,
and,
that was
I'm here for it.
that's first draft energy. This is I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. I think I'm like 2 for 2. I wasn't on last week, but the week before, I think I got that one right as well.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm gonna be, I'm feeling pretty good.
The episode that we just heard that excerpt from was Uncovering Warren Buffett, Entrepreneur and Investor. Here's our show description. Bringing you the top business leaders, entrepreneurs, and influencers from around the world to help empower you to build your best financial life. So, there you have it. And our artwork is very clean. Just a simple, looks like an image of an office building or something with our title and a nice little multiply blend mode over everything for a blue hue. How pretty. Jumping on over, we have one clip left. And seeing as there are 4 of you, let's just have you all fight it out.
Let's do it.
Let's prepare the octagon.
I would like to say while I pull up this clip, Christopher Wallace is the actual name of the Notorious B.I.G. So.
Oh, fun!
That's awesome. That's good.
Oh, fun.
I'm so disappointed that nobody called you out on that.
It's okay.
I can see you writing that and like having like this moment where you like do the
I'll pat myself. Props to me. Good job.
Good job.
Okay. Are all eyes closed?
Not yet. Okay, yeah, you're good now.
Okay, sick.
We can talk about this a little later, but the Fed has said we will cut rates 3 times as our base case scenario. But the markets today are saying something different. They're saying 6 times, 150, 1.5%. So at the end of the day, the Fed is going to be our friend. That's good for the markets. Our second theme is that the economy cools into a soft landing. So a soft landing is just so we're all on the same page. A soft landing is when the Fed raises rates, but does not put the economy into a recession. We think, I hate saying this, I don't usually say this, but the Fed is actually doing a great job. They've raised rates just right to slow the economy down. I think the key point is that even if we have a recession, it's going to be very mild. And the reason I say this is because you look at areas of recession today, housing, manufacturing, autos, they've all stabilized or even started to bounce back a little bit. Building permits are picking up. Auto sales are picking up. Also you're seeing manufacturing, which is sort of in the doldrums for the last 14 months. It's stabilizing, though at low levels.
Okay, there was your clip. And at the risk of making a very exceedingly lame joke, actually, a soft landing is when the economy uses a parachute. And let's just move on. Here's our titles. Thank you for nobody laughing at that. I would have felt like they were all pity laughs.
I was laughing on mute, Nicholas. Don't worry.
Yeah, all of us were like,
"Thank you." No, I don't need your pity.
Says every time he talks about it.
Really?
I feel like it's not a joke. It's just a useful metaphor.
I was just being I was just being literal. So parallel thinking at its finest. Anyway, here are our titles. Number 1, Finance Roundtable Podcast. Number 2, Scarcity and Supply. And number 3, Mo Money, Mo Problems with Mikhail G. Scott.
Oh man, if it's actually that one too, that'd be so good. Like, what a trick.
I think it's number 1.
I think it's number 1 too.
I think it's number 1.
Yeah, it feels so like proper, like they're just talking something serious.
But they're talking about the economy, where if there are in fact more problems, it's probably because there's more money.
If it's number 3, you're gonna Moriarty like the whole thing.
Does it change your mind if I had a typo and it was supposed to be Michael G. Scott in the last thing, not Mikhail?
Not Mikhail.
Yeah, that was.
Which I almost read.
We knew that. We all sensed that. I think.
Oh, okay. You guys didn't think I just got spontaneous concussion and just misread it?
I mean, Kristy, Did the table they were sitting at sound round?
I thought that they were recording in a closet. So, I mean, but it was like a closet of like a three-story house. So, people that talk about the economy, usually pretty well built houses. People aren't talking those in bad apartments.
Right. So
Got it.
A round closet potentially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, round closet. Definitely maybe a walk-in.
Their closets can fit round tables inside of them.
Uh-huh.
How nice their closets are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to go with option 1.
Finance Roundtable Podcast is correct.
Nice.
Y'all have done it.
You did it, guys.
We're really tapping into the vein here. Like, this feels good.
Kristy's getting the taste for winning. It's
Yeah,
changing
no,
him.
I
Has
mean,
anyone noticed that?
Yeah, dude.
He's back from
changed,
vacation. He's well rested.
The power's going straight to my head.
The last thing anyone wants to hear somebody say while they're laughing, by the way. So there you have it, Finance Roundtable Podcast. This was from episode 13, Grasping Economic Twists and Election Uncertainty with Gene Goldman. And lock yourself in, because we've got a doozy of a description, and I'm sure to flub it at least 12 times, because there are a lot of acronyms in here. Join Professor Jacob Gold, Michael Kochel, and Kelvin Gold as they host a monthly podcast titled Finance Roundtable. The super casual roundtable conversation will cover current economic and business news, what's happening at there it is already. What's happening at JG&A, personal finance tips, pop culture, and much more. If you've ever wondered what is talked about between financial professionals and what goes through our minds when we're off the clock, then you'll want to check the podcast out. Jacob Gold and Michael Kochel, financial advisors offering securities and advisory services through Cetera Advisor Networks LLC, parentheses, doing insurance business in California as CFGAN Insurance Agency LLC.
I don't think you need to read this part.
Yeah, I think this is just all legal stuff at this point. We're just going to cut it off there.
But there is a caveat at the bottom that they are not representative and may not give legal or tax advice.
Yes.
Not financial advice. Do your research.
Advice. Exactly.
There you have it. So that's the podcast. And I actually recognize this podcast. Wow. I just looked at the artwork. So yeah, pretty cool stuff all around. And I'm also just a sucker for podcast art that uses caricatures of the hosts. It's just fun. It's playful.
And this podcast will teach you how to make enough money to have a closet that you can fit a round table in to record your podcast. So
yes, exactly.
Probably a good thing to listen to if that's your goal.
That's actually the center of my vision board for the year, Max. So thank you. Like dead center, it actually just has the words, get a round table that can fit into a walk-in closet.
No, you have it backwards. You don't want to find a table small enough.
I'm just tempering my expectations because the other one's unrealistic.
Oh, okay.
No, you're going to listen to this podcast and it will change your financial projection.
Okay.
Dream big, Nicholas.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. That was actually on the vision board too. It was in the very bottom right corner.
Your table has to fit more than a cup on it. You can't just find a little pedestal that's round and put a cup on it and say you've achieved your goal of your round table in your closet. That's too low. We know you can do better than that.
Okay. I can do this. Can we just like shift the podcast into this now? Just me getting my life in order.
Yeah.
Anyway, there you have it, everybody. Those were our clips for today. Thanks for playing. Join us next week when Kristy develops supernatural powers because he's gotten the third one right in a row.
Yes.
And yeah, thanks for listening. So, bye.